Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson, your host. Welcome in. And welcome to you if you're joining us on Facebook Live. It's good to see you. No, I can't really see you, but I like to pretend. But if you are close to your laptop or your phone and you want to tune in on Facebook Live, you can see us. Just go to KHTS Radio on Facebook and click on the link there, and there we are. So while our campuses are closed here at KHTS, in collaboration with SCVi and iLEAD schools, we're bringing you this special edition of Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We're here to support the work that you're doing, whether it's spring break or not. We're here to be here with you and help you work with your kids, maintain the growth and the learning. We're also here to help you take care of yourself. So we've got various guests that come in to help you work with your kids, and other guests that come in and help you keep yourself safe and sane and moving forward. Remember, we've talked about not just getting through this, but getting through this better for the wear, and so that's why we bring in a lot of our guests to help work with us. We are live each day at 9 a.m. providing support and updates for you on this new distance learning journey, and we're also here continually curating and adding new resources for you on our website. Go to homeschoolinganswers.com and see what I mean. We're adding new things every day. In fact, my first guest today is a huge part of all the different resources that are on there. You know, I keep seeing on social media all different kinds of things getting posted. Try this, try that, and that's a wonderful thing that so many people are reaching out and helping each other. But sometimes it can be difficult to weed through everything. And if you find yourself clicking on every other link on your social media to see if this is something that's right for your kids, that could be a little bit of a daunting task. But if you head over to homeschoolinganswers.com, we've done all the weeding for you, and you can just click on your kid's grade level or the subject area that you're looking for, click on an area for parent tips. We've got all different kinds of resources we're constantly adding to. And if you're not finding what you are looking for, if you've still got deeper questions, would you email us at homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org, homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org, and let us know. I need a little bit more of this, or can you tell us a little bit more about that? And we will get it right on the website or here on the radio show or whatever is most appropriate. We've got a great show for you today. We'll be talking all things elementary with our elementary curriculum and instruction expert, Linda Christek. We'll also be checking in with Krista Warfield from the Child and Family Center. We'll be talking to her about the tragedy and danger of domestic violence during these times. We've also got habit number 6 from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and Christina DeBray, our show's official licensed marriage and family therapist, and she'll continue helping us work on us this morning. You know, yesterday we talked with several of our guests about how we can use this time that we've been given to improve ourselves. We can use this time to improve our condition, whether it's taking the time to just clean out our closets or read a few books that we've been wanting to read that have been sitting on the shelves for a little while, or maybe you start YouTubing a yoga class. My friend Sarah chimed in a couple days ago and said that her son had ordered a guitar online, and now he's learning to play the guitar again on YouTube, and all of that stuff is for free, and you can do that as well, or any other instrument. You know, a couple years back, my son learned to play the ukulele on YouTube, and he absolutely loved it. There's a friend of mine who just recently, last week, was laid off from an industry that's really been crippled by this pandemic. And, well, when he's not updating his resume and applying for new jobs, he's teaching himself to code. He's on that website, code.org, and I know it sounds daunting. I know you're thinking, as soon as I say code, you know it's a valuable skill, but you're thinking, Matt, I can't do that, you know. But give it a try. What have you got, a blind date coming up, or you got an important business meeting now? We're staying home. Set aside an hour and give it a shot. Right? Go on code.org, click on the yellow Start Learning button, and then click Beyond K-12. That is if you're an adult, and that's it. You start learning right away. Within 30 seconds, you are in your first Python class. Python, that sounds scary, right? It's not. They make it nice and easy, very user-friendly. You're in that first class. And if you're listening to us and you're a student, instead of clicking on Beyond K-12, if you are in kindergarten through 5th grade, you can click on that button, or if you're in 6th through 12th grade, you click on that button. Or how about this? Mom, Dad, are you listening? How about doing this with your kids? Have your kids click on the appropriate grade level button, and you click on the Beyond K-12 button. How fun to learn code with your 7-year-old or your 15-year-old or your spouse. Or how about you challenge Grandma in Ohio? Go for it. Come on, come out of this quarantine a better version of yourself. Get inspired. Speaking of inspiration, I love what Fred Arnold had to say to us yesterday. That just about everyone he encounters, he tries like a sponge to suck up and emulate their best qualities. He filters out those negative qualities and tries to absorb the best qualities of everybody he meets. We've all got good qualities and bad qualities, but if we're constantly filtering, like Fred advised us to do, we filter out that negative and adopt the positive from those we encounter. We tip the balance in our own favor. We keep building those positive traits. And as I was thinking of ways that we could improve ourselves and better ourselves, I walked out to the mailbox yesterday, and what did I find? I found a flyer from our friends at College of the Canyons, and they are also offering free online classes through their School of Personal and Professional Learning in subjects like career skills, word processing, spreadsheets. You can get your personal trainer certificate preparation, your GED, your CBEST. English is a second language. They've got all different kinds of courses, and so I thought, I want to make sure I mention that on the radio. They've got some classes that we can all take to help improve ourselves. Well, speaking of improving ourselves and inspiration, my first guest today, Linda Christek, has been an educator for 30 years, serving as an elementary school teacher, director of homeschool programs, and currently serves as director of innovation in teaching and learning at iLEAD schools. She holds both a California multiple subject and administrative services credential. She's a dedicated, innovative, results-oriented education professional with proven leadership skills, expertise in curriculum, and a strong commitment to unleashing the potential in each educator and learner. A teacher's teacher, Linda believes firmly that high expectations and building strong relationships among the school's staff, children and parents, and administration is the key to successful school culture and community that nurtures academic and social emotional growth for all. Linda is a passionate, lifelong learner. She's been planning and organizing professional development conferences with differentiated workshops for classroom teachers since 2010. And in fact, I know she's using this spring break to design a professional learning experience for all of the teaching staff at iLEAD schools when they come back next Monday. She's a master in educational data analysis and the development of comprehensive school-wide action plans. In fact, she's been extremely helpful to the leadership at all of our schools over the last few years, taking the latest in classroom data and crunching that, analyzing it, and presenting that for our school leadership in order to get the most out of our schools. Linda, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Matt, for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Of course. So first of all, Linda, if anyone is enjoying this new virtual model that we're in, I've got to think that it's got to be you. I know you oftentimes spend so much time away from your husband as you live and work down here in Santa Clarita, but he works up north, and so you guys don't get to spend a ton of time together. But I feel like you're probably spending a lot more time with Gary up in northern Nevada. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right, Matt. My work does usually keep me based in the Southern California area supporting iLEAD schools, but we have a new home in Sparks, Nevada, where my husband now works. So being able to work virtually right now is allowing me to spend some quality time up here with him and also finish decorating my new house.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I know you guys just moved in a couple months ago. I've also been enjoying seeing your posts on social media. You're taking your dog Daisy out for a walk around a lake or a pond. It just looks absolutely beautiful up there.
It's kind of the highlight of our day. We get out, get some fresh air and sunshine, and some exercise at the pond in our neighborhood.
I love that. That's so important. Reminding our listeners, make sure we're keeping our social distance. But so excited that our Mayor Cameron Smythe let us know that during this time, we're going to do our best to keep our parks and our trails open. I think the rain has kept a lot of the parks and things closed this week, but we've still got those paseos out there, so you can continue to get out and take your dog for a walk, get your exercise in, get some fresh air. Now, Linda, I know you normally spend your days at any one of our numerous campuses, and you spend a lot of your nighttime, I know, analyzing data for our curriculum team and various different levels of leadership. With our schools going virtual, though, are you still able to provide support to our teachers and principals as they work now with our learners online?
Oh, yes. I think fortunately the iLEAD Schools organization already had the structures and the resources in place that are needed to effectively communicate with and support our facilitators, site directors, and schools. So I think it's been a pretty smooth transition to continue that same level of support in our virtual environment. We've had daily virtual support collabs where facilitators or directors can pop in, get their questions answered, get one-on-one support, get curriculum advice, and help designing their online learning platform for their students. So I think it's been pretty seamless.
I think that's so important, and we mentioned it yesterday. This is so new for all of our kids and for our teachers, but they're also struggling with the online platform and how do I reach my kids? Linda, you know better than anybody. Our schools are project based, and so a lot of times our teaching staff is wondering how can we continue the deep learning and understanding that our kids are getting out of project based learning. So I love that you're able to continue to support them via Zoom, still keeping everybody safe, and we really appreciate that. So now I want to turn it a little bit toward our parents. I know you've got so much, Linda, that you can share with all of our parents, regardless of where they are in their own understanding of teaching and learning at home. You know, our listeners are all at various points on that spectrum in regards to their needs. There are listeners who need maybe help setting up a tremendous amount of structure, families that want ideas for engaging reading and writing activities. And then there are other families who are simply looking for some basic tips to add to what their schools are providing for a more engaging and connecting experience with their children. Can we spend a little time talking to each one of those groups? Let's start out with those families that are looking to set up that structure. There are kids that need a lot of structure, that at 8 a.m. you're going to do this, and at 8:45 you're going to do this. There are kids and families that need that structure. Some children and families need that. So several years ago, I had the benefit to teach next door to you, Linda, in a classroom where there were no walls, and the structure that you developed in your classroom really, really impressed me. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but I would steal a lot of ideas from you. So what type of structure would you suggest for our families that are trying to maintain a more typical school day at home? If we're trying to say, okay, from 8 to 3, you're going to do school, what ideas do you have for those families?
Well, since changes in routine can be stressful, it's, I think, a good idea to talk with your kids about, the reasons why we're staying at home and what their daily structure should be during that time. So I advocate letting the kids help you create that daily schedule that you can either hang on the refrigerator or somewhere they can see it each day. And some kids might also respond very well to a checklist that they can check off when they complete their items. A timer for some kids is helpful who might need a visual reminder. And it also eliminates all of those when can I be done questions. But I do recommend including as much voice and choice as possible within the structure. Maybe allowing the kids to choose which subject to start with, and maybe they can alternate art and music every other day. I think you can, in addition to posting your daily schedule, going over it at breakfast with everyone so they know what to expect, and that you can point to it instead of answering constant questions about what's going to happen. But I think some important things to remember are include breaks from online or offline schoolwork to relax and connect with each other. Schedule 2 or 3 times a day to get outside or get some exercise. Being physically active is so important for staying healthy. It's a great stress reliever. It helps the kids focus when they get back to work, and it makes it easier for them to sleep at night. But I think some important things to remember are predictability, creating those routines, being flexible. Inflexibility can trigger kids into a survival mode. So notice what your child needs, collaborate with them to find those routines, resources, and strategies that will best support them. Maintaining and building those connections. Relationships are the key to resilience. And empower your kids. Drop or avoid power struggles over things that don't matter as much. What they're wearing that day, where they're doing their learning, and sharing the decision-making where possible and giving them voice and choice.
That is really important. We've talked about that in the past, but you're absolutely right. If my family needs a little bit more structure, I can still give my kids that opportunity to choose, like you said, what they're wearing, or do you want to work in the bedroom or in the living room? And oftentimes that can kind of also really squash that arguing, right? I don't want to do school today. I don't want to do school today. Well, we've got to do it, but do you want to work in the bedroom or in the living room? All of a sudden it gets them thinking, right? It gets them to that prefrontal lobe, and they're working on that. I loved your idea of using a timer, Linda, and why that never occurred to me, I have no idea. So, if we're going to set aside 45 minutes to do our math, what have you, our school has sent work for them to do in math. You set that timer, 45 minutes is up, and they don't finish their work. For those of us that need a little bit more structure in our lives, that work that we didn't finish, it sounds a little silly, but that becomes homework, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a great idea. Well, Linda, we do have to take a quick commercial break, but I know you've got so much more for our families. Can you stick around until after the commercial break and continue talking with us?
Of course, I'd be happy to.
Wonderful. Please stay tuned. When we come back, we will continue to work with Linda Christek. She is our expert in elementary education, curriculum assessment, and all things elementary. And for more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, please go to hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. There you'll find tips on the economy, health updates, special business hours, and much, much more. That's hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, homeschooling answers. I'm your host, Matt Watson, on your hometown station, KHTS.
Hi, this is Bob Schertz with the Way Out Recovery SCV, reminding you that during these unprecedented times, addiction and mental health do not take a break. If you or someone you love are struggling, please give us a call at 661-296-4444. We are open and here to help you during this time. Thanks.
I never thought I'd be looking for an assisted living home until Mom got sick. Suddenly, there were questions that I didn't have answers to, and only limited time to find the answers. What facility could take the best care of Mom? Then my mother's social worker gave me a brochure for assisted living locators and informed me that assisted living locators is recommended by more healthcare professionals than any other agency.
Call Shannon at Assisted Living Locators, 544-1004. That's 544-1004.
During this unprecedented time, Dunkin' has continually focused on the health and safety of their employees and, of course, you, the customer. Dunkin's committed to being there for you, serving in the safest way possible, following all national, state, and local guidelines. Here in Santa Clarita, Dunkin' has implemented carry-out and drive-through services, in addition to curbside pickup. The Dunkin' in Canyon Country is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m., serving guests with carry-out and drive-through services. The Dunkin' on Bouquet Canyon near Lowe's is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m. with carryout and curbside pickup. Download the Dunkin' app to pay, order, and accumulate points. Dunkin' is now also available through Grubhub for home and office delivery.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
We salute our veterans who sacrificed for our freedom.
Santa Clarita veteran Bill Reynolds.
Each week, we share an inspirational story of a local veteran on our Hometown Heroes page at hometownstation.com. Thanks to our good friends at Eternal Valley.
I'm Richard Nunnally, General Manager of Eternal Valley Memorial Park and Mortuary. We believe taking care of each other is what community is all about. We're proud to bring you the stories of our hometown heroes.
Eternal Valley, life well celebrated.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/search. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter. The smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.com/search. That's ziprecruiter.com/search. ZipRecruiter.com/search.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 on the FM dial and 1220 AM. We are also on Facebook Live, so search for us on Facebook at KHTS Radio, and you will see us there. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. Before the break, we were talking with elementary curriculum expert Linda Christek, and she was sharing some great tips for those families that want to maintain that school structure during their day. Even though you're working from home, you want to maintain that regular school structure. We'll also be talking in just a minute about families who maybe don't necessarily need quite so much structure, but they want some support in working with their kids in different areas of the curriculum. Linda, before we continue on, did you have any more tips for those families that are that still want to continue to develop that strong school schedule structure in their homes?
Yes, I do. Especially for parents who are working at home, it can be tricky with the kids around. So you want to set up some expectations with your children about when you'll be able to help and when you won't. So you might want to designate a signal or a visual cue. When I was in the classroom and I was doing reading workshop or writer's workshop, I would wear cowboy hats. And then the kids knew that when I was wearing that hat, that they needed to work independently on their own. So come up with some type of a signal or a visual with your kids. Build into the schedule some activities that you know they'll be able to do on their own, and that might be educational TV or some educational apps, and be patient with them and yourself while you're getting into that routine. They might struggle to be independent at first, but with consistency, they'll get used to that routine. And here's some other ideas for a daily schedule. Waking up, getting dressed, and having breakfast at the normal time. Decide where everyone can do their work most effectively and without distractions. You can list the times for learning, exercise, and breaks. For younger children, I recommend about 20 minutes of a class assignment followed by 10 minutes of physical activity or a little brain break or a little exercise break. Older children and teens might be able to focus on assignments for longer stretches, and they can take a break between subjects, so maybe a 45-minute work time and then a 15-minute break. But adjust the schedule based on how your child works best. Maybe they need a 30-minute work session followed by a brain break. Go Noodle is a great place to get some activities, physical activity, etc. Include your hours as well so the children know when the workday is done. I really recommend not pushing your kids to have a regular school day 7 hours long. Typically, I homeschooled my 4 children in elementary school, and we were usually done by noon. So 2 to 3 hours is often more than enough time to complete their assignments, and maybe exclude breaks and lunch and things like that. But leave the afternoon for creative expression, for passion projects, inventing games, getting into playing with their siblings. You might want to schedule time for their lunches and snacks. Have dinner together as a family, discuss the day, and enjoy family time in the evenings, playing, reading, watching a movie, exercising together. But stick with that normal bedtime routine as much as possible to make sure everyone gets enough sleep.
That stuff can be really important. Linda, my son is a little bit older, and so we've been really flexible these days, and that's been helpful for both of us. But he and I both noticed last week we were getting into a little bit of a funk where we were having dinner a little bit later and later each night, and bedtime was being pushed a little bit later and later each night, and we had to kind of do a stop the insanity moment and put ourselves back on schedule. I also love the idea of having a signal where mom or dad or whoever it is that's running the show is busy right now. It's a non-negotiable, whether it's that cowboy hat that you were wearing or any other signal that I'm not available right now. Either figure it out on your own or move on to something else until I am available. I love that idea. Now, what about those families, Linda, that aren't necessarily so concerned with structure, but they do still want to make sure that they're hitting those big 3 subjects, reading, writing, and math? What suggestions do you have for those families who are looking for fun and engaging ideas for reading, writing, or math?
Well, setting up the routine, I really love a schedule that I saw that addresses creative, physical, academic, and community. assignments or learning activities. And it's just a simple piece of construction paper, or you can do it however you like, and Post-it notes. And you just divide it into those 4 sections. And then this is completely kid-created. They put learning activities on Post-it notes in each of those sections. So perhaps on the creative one, they might have Post-it notes for the one with drawing, music, baking, dance, crafting, tinkering. In the academic section, they would put in Post-it notes with their math, writing, and reading assignments. In the physical category, walking, exercising, gardening, yoga, these are all things that they're choosing. And in the community section, maybe writing a letter or making cards for family, friends, or community heroes or helpers, delivering a meal or groceries to an elderly neighbor, helping with siblings. But once the kids have created a schedule, then the kids choose at least one Post-it note activity from each of the categories. So it gives a lot of voice and choice, and which is really helpful and keeps kids engaged. So that's probably my favorite way of doing things. And if I was homeschooling my kids right now, that's exactly what I would do, is this kind of a schedule that really involves them in the learning process.
So important. Giving kids that kind of choice. There's so much that is out of our kids' hands right now, but if we can put some of that control back in their hands, it gives them that notion that things are going to be okay. So, and then also it allows them to be in the driver's seat of their own learning and understanding. It works them towards developing independence. Okay, now let's continue down the spectrum. What about those families that have pretty much everything they need? Their schools are providing the work that their kids have got to do. They're not necessarily looking to structure it as the regular 8 to 3 school day. They're just looking for some tips and things that they can do to help make what their schools are providing maybe a little bit more exciting or engaging. What tips do you have for those families, Linda?
I think setting up a poetry coffee house might be fun, and everybody in the family can choose a piece of poetry or they can write one, and then you can have a little poetry coffee house at home and where they present their poems. It's a great way to include literacy and oral speaking skills, all of those things. And you could even film it and stream it live for friends or share it with an extended family for a bigger audience. Journaling is a great idea, too. The journals are a place for the kids to record their dreams, their fears, their frustration, their hopes. And it's a place for them to kind of reflect on everything that's going on in regular life. And that can also be something that the whole family does. Kids can write and illustrate their own book. There are wonderful apps like Book Creator that allow them to either use pictures, illustrations. They can record their stories. Storybird is also a great resource to use to become an author, an illustrator. There's also, you can just use materials around the house. The kids can write how-tos. They can write fiction books. They can make comic strips based on a book they've read or a movie they've seen, or just using their own imagination. They can put on a puppet show. Uses their imagination. You can use recycled paper, cardboard, all kinds of things around the house, and they can create their own stories, characters, plots. They can name all the shapes they use in their puppet creation, so you can include a lot of different subject areas in that. And, maybe if they've made animal puppets, they can identify the animal's habitat and other details. They can design at-home science experiments or STEM challenges using everyday household items they have around the house and start with a question they want to answer. They can write up a materials list, a step-by-step description of the procedures they use, and conduct the experiment and document what happened. Storyline Online is a really great website where professional actors are reading popular picture books out loud. Kids can build phonological awareness with the games and materials at education.com. Elementary readers can use Epic. It's free right now. There's also Story-Nori, and they can practice skills from alphabetic awareness to reading fluency at RazKids, which is also free right now.
So that was RazKids. Is that a website?
RazKids is a website. Story-Nori, education.com. Those are all some great ones. And one that I just recently found is called Story Mentors. It's from the Barbara Bush Foundation, and it has lessons and resources for beginning and struggling readers. Scholastic at Home has a fantastic resource for families with books, their audio books, read-aloud books, with the video that goes with it, and the writing activities. So those are just some great resources that are out there.
Those are fantastic resources, and I wouldn't even think to to go back and repeat all of them. But if you're listening and you want to catch up on some of those resources, you didn't necessarily hear them, would you click on KHTS's Facebook page, and you can rerun the show and just fast forward right through into the part that you wanted to hear again, and pick up those resources. Linda, you've got so much for us, and I know that you're also quite the expert in social emotional learning. In fact, you wrote the iLEAD School Social Emotional Report Card a few years back. You train our teaching staff in the social emotional learning every year, and now more than ever, developing and maintaining that strong social emotional health is essential for our kids during these uncertain times. What kind of things can families do to help kids stay calm and well adjusted, as well as continue to grow and manage themselves through these difficult times?
Matt, it's just such a challenging time right now for everyone learning how to cope and conquer this new norm that we're going through. And some families are going through some real trials. So I think it's important to look for opportunities for joy, laughter, and connecting every day. And there's a couple ways you can do this. Having a gratitude jar. Maybe at the end of the day, everyone in the family shares 3 things or writes 3 things that they are grateful for. Another thing might be, some people call it the peak in the pit or roses and thorns. When we're stressed out, we have a greater difficulty focusing and processing information and regulating our emotional responses. So creating that safe and supportive home environment where all family members feel free and safe to express their feelings can help us to feel more prepared to learn. So you can do that with a daily mental health check-in. So you might want to have everyone share their high and their low of the day. And that helps to provide insight into everybody's mood, their motivation, their emotional state, and give them everyone a chance to express their thoughts and work through anything that's bothering them, but also celebrating when things go well. And I did find some cute ways to do this as well. One's called a letter check-in. And so you might say, you're reflecting on your day, and you choose a letter from the alphabet to represent how you're feeling. So you might say, today I feel like the letter F, because today was easier to manage my time, so it felt like I was sliding through the day. Or you could do an emoji check-in. You could have like a little emoji chart, and the family members can choose which emoji. Did they have the thumbs up? Was it the heart, the star, the wow, the angry? So you can have an emoji check-in. You can also do an animal check-in, like what kind of animal represents how you're feeling right now. And maybe one of your children might say, well, I feel like a sloth because everything took way too much time today, and I moved really slow. So just make those check-ins fun, and taking time to look for the joy. I think one of the things that has brought me some joy, and some of you might have seen it, is that John Krasinski, Some Good News, where he's celebrating the wonderful things that are happening, and that has been very inspirational for me and making lift my spirit. So looking for those opportunities to celebrate, have joy, and laugh together.
Yeah, I actually reposted one of John Krasinski's videos yesterday. It's so exciting, and if you're interested, just Google Some Good News, and that'll pop right up. He's also laying on his Boston accent a little bit thicker than normal. It's wonderful. I do love the idea, Linda, of the roses and thorns. That's something that my brother instituted when we started going on family vacations a few years back, is every night at the end of the night, we would all talk about our high point of the day, our low point of the day, and something that we learned. And so that's something that we can do, especially during these times. Help keep our kids, giving them that space to kind of release some of the negative and also celebrate the positive. I love that. Those are some great ideas. Before we go, Linda, have you got any other tips for our families?
Yes, I have a lot more that are hands-on. Not all learning has to be online. So, there's other things that kids can do. They can redesign and rebrand maybe a board game. They can make homemade gifts. Get baking. I've seen a lot of families doing that. Where my nephew, I've noticed on Facebook, has what he calls real-world workshops, and he's just posting pictures of the kids learning how to do real-world kinds of things. Baking, doing yard work, painting a room. I just enjoyed seeing those pictures. My grandkids in San Diego, they've been doing cryptic conditioning, and the kids they record in time lapse, so they speed it up version of them working out. And not only are they getting exercise, but the videos are giving a lot of laughter and joy to people who are watching them. Reminiscing, sorting through old photographs, making scrapbooks. The kids can draw or create a family tree, interview relatives. They can write, create questions, illustrate. You can create treasure hunts, scavenger hunts, where the kids are creating the clues, the illustrations for the family to follow. Get gardening. There's so many hands-on ways to learn, that don't include being online. Movie time, having a family film day, and then the kids can write a film review or draw a movie poster afterwards. Kids can do showtime. You can have a family book club. Making homemade games. There's so many different things that can really engage the family in learning and have the kids love learning. It should not be a stressful time. We don't want this time to be one where you're battling your kids. There's so many opportunities to really think out of the box and enjoy this opportunity to spend more time together.
It's such wonderful ideas. You've got so many just gold nuggets that you're sharing this morning. We really appreciate it, Linda. And again, I want to invite our families. I'm certain that there's been some things that you have missed because Linda has been sharing so many different resources. Just go back after the show's over and rewatch the Facebook Live video for a reminder on all those different tips that Linda shared. If you just walk away this morning with 2 or 3 different tips, I'm sure that's going to take you a long way. Linda, we want to thank you for your time this morning. Unfortunately, we do have some things that we need to take care of. Got to pay the bills here around the station. But Linda, thank you again for all of your time and resources. I want to invite our listeners to stick around. Coming up when we get back, I've got some suggestions on how you can celebrate the upcoming holidays. Did they snake up on you? Today is actually the first day of Passover, and so I want to help you guys make sure that you're celebrating with your families and continuing to follow through with those family traditions, even though we are in a time of self-quarantine. For more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, I want to invite you to go to hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. There you're going to find some tips on the economy, health updates, special business hours, and much, much more. That's hometownstation.com. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
These days, it's hard to figure out how to fill all the self-isolation time, let alone figure out what to have for lunch or dinner. Salt Creek Grill owner Greg Amsler is helping us out in a big, big way. Salt Creek is now offering takeout and curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Now, if you'd like, you could stay at home. They participate with Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Their entire menu is available for pickup or delivery, including to-go beer and wine. Hey. In addition, Greg's offering wine at 25% off, along with daily specials. If you'd like to buy a gift card for a future visit, now's the time. Buy a $50 gift card and get $10 extra on the card completely free. Buy a $100 gift card, you get an extra $25. Salt Creek Grill, located next to Regal Cinema at the Valencia Mall. For more info, go to saltcreekgrill.com.
My tile is 20 years old, and it makes my house look 20 years old.
For quality, custom kitchen, bath, and tile, trust the professionals at Southern California Tile.
Hi, I'm Bob of Southern California Tile, and I invite you to come look at the wide selection of tile and stone at our showroom. We offer you personalized one-on-one service and help you see the many beautiful possibilities for improving your home.
Get some style at Southern California Tile.
In Placerita, by the entrance to Masters College.
Did you know you can attend College of the Canyons tuition free? Yeah. Canyons Promise provides incoming first-time college students the opportunity to attend College of the Canyons tuition free for their first 2 years. And you don't even have to be a recent high school graduate to take advantage of the opportunity. Anyone who's a first-time college student and meets the Canyons Promise criteria can sign up. Visit canyons.edu/promise for full details and to get signed up before June 15th. canyons.edu/promise.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so if you have a fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going in. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The minute I open my door, Debbie Morris has a problem. I say, oh my gosh. A really big problem. The dog, the cat, my 3-year-old. Debbie's house is a mess. How can one family create this disaster? Debbie needs Made for You. I need help. Professional residential and commercial cleaning, locally owned. You choose the schedule, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or even one-time seasonal cleaning. Call 255-2922. That's 255-2922. Made for You.
Made for You rescued me.
This Saturday at 8 p.m., join us as we pray for our valley and first responders. KHTS has teamed up with a number of local churches who'll be offering a half hour of music and prayer. Brought to you by our friends at Burger King, Total Financial Solutions, and American Family Funding. We invite you to sit in your cars, 8 p.m. this Saturday. Tune in to 98.1 FM, AM 1220, or download our free KHTS radio app. Or log on to hometownstation.com and click the Listen Live button.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. This week is a special week for a lot of us. I mentioned before the break, Passover begins tonight. Did that sneak up on you? And I know a lot of us are looking forward to celebrating Easter on Sunday. But our current situation, we're all safer at home. It can make it a little bit difficult sometimes to celebrate those days. So how do you normally celebrate? What do you normally do? I know my family typically celebrates Easter by going out for a Sunday brunch, and then the entire family, all the aunts and uncles and nephews and nieces, head back to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and we do an Easter egg hunt, and we hang out and laugh, and, well, we watch baseball, and so that's how we celebrate, and we're not going to be able to do any of those things this year. So how are you planning on celebrating this year? Because we can't just say, Easter, Passover, all the other special days are canceled this year. That's not okay. That is not allowed. So if you just paused when I asked you how are you planning on celebrating this year, can I encourage you a little bit? Let me give you a couple of ideas. Whether your family's religious or not, if you and your family are accustomed to getting together and celebrating these holidays, do not let the year pass, okay? Here's some ideas that on how you can still enjoy these special times. So I know most places of worship have shifted to online services, so you don't have to skip. So make sure that you're still attending the services that you typically attend on these days. I know that a lot of places are sharing online services. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine who is Jewish and is an expert in Jewish studies and Israeli history, and we talked a lot about this because I know that doing things online can be a little bit difficult for our observant Jewish friends who observe the Sabbath. But you need to follow the advice of your religious guide because I know that some followers are able to do that, and there are synagogues that are broadcasting Sabbath services, Shabbat services live, and there are others that are encouraging their followers to celebrate in different ways. And so if it does fall in alignment with how you celebrate and how you worship, what about doing a Zoom Passover Seder? I know some rabbis have said that that's okay, and I mentioned on the air a little while back, last Saturday, my family and I did a Zoom family dinner where each different portion of the family just logged onto the laptop and left it open there on the table, and we got to share, a little bit of our cooking, and then sat down at the table together, and it was really enjoyable, especially for our grandparents who've really been missing the grandkids. So think about doing that Passover Seder on Zoom, and you can and you really should still plan that Easter egg hunt in the backyard like you always do. Even if your nephews and nieces can't come over, do that Easter egg hunt around the house for your kids. In fact, you don't even need to hide eggs; just hide candies and little surprises for them. And you don't have kids, it might be fun to hide some fun and loving effects for your partner and do a little Easter egg hunt this Sunday to celebrate with them. That might add a little excitement into the mix and help you enjoy the holiday. You can also host a virtual Easter egg hunt. I was looking online last night, and I know there were several publications that gave tips on how to host a virtual Easter egg hunt. There's Women's Day, Southern Living, and Martha Stewart. They've all posted variations on an idea as to how you can still have your nephews and nieces join you for the fun with your kids via platforms like Zoom or FaceTime. I will post the links in I will post the links in the comments section of our Facebook Live feed. And speaking of which, when we went out to commercial, Linda Christek, our elementary curriculum expert, said that she was going to post a lot of the different links in the comments. So those should be populating here really soon. So again, go to Facebook and search KHTS Radio, and you will find all those different tips that Linda offered the last couple of breaks, and I'm also going to be posting those links on how you can host virtual Easter egg hunts. It's kind of a crossover between that Easter egg hunt and the old game I Spy. So some really fun creative ideas, and make sure that you mix your creativity into it. Make sure that you take time to reflect and think about how those people that you might be inviting would most enjoy the activity. Mix your creativity in with your family tradition to make sure that these things are still special days, recognized for their significance and enjoyed by everyone. It's a great opportunity to reconnect with your family. Remember, just because we've got to stay home doesn't mean that we can't connect. I also want to remind you, those of you that struggle to make the ends meet during these times, maybe your hours have been cut, maybe business is slowed, like the friend that I mentioned before, and you've become a little bit food insecure. Remember, your neighbors are here and they've got your back. Our schools are still serving 2 meals a day. We spoke with Jeff Pelzel from the Newhall School District yesterday, and he mentioned that there are schools in and around our valley that are serving breakfast and lunch every day. I know that we're serving breakfast and lunch every day from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at SCVi and all of our iLEAD schools locations. We're doing it a little bit later at iLEAD Agua Dulce, doing that at 10 to 12. So make sure that you get on the school's websites, find the school that's closest to you, and make sure that they're serving, and then you'll be able to pick up breakfast and lunch for any and all of the kids in your family, regardless of what school you're enrolled in. So stop by. Now, if your family needs groceries and you're struggling with that, why don't you call the Santa Clarita Grocery? Just Google them, Santa Clarita Grocery over there on Center Point. They will help make sure that you've got the groceries you need during this holiday time and every week. You can just swing by, you hand them your grocery list, park and visit with one of their staff members really quickly while they do the shopping for you, and they will make sure that your back seat gets loaded up with all of the supplies that you need. The Senior Center is also working to make sure that the seniors in the community have everything that they need, and so you can still drive up and pick up your meals at Bella Vita, the gorgeous new building that the Senior Center is in, and if you're not able to go pick them up, why don't you talk to them about their Wheels on Meals program, that they can deliver meals for senior citizens. It's all just a matter of calling the Senior Center and signing up. They've also got access to a tremendous amount of resources for you. Okay? And how do you listen to us? Have you downloaded the app yet? Just go to the iPhone or Google Play Store, and you can download on your iPhone or Android device the KHTS app, and you can listen to us 24/7, regardless of where you are or what the radio signal is like. You can listen to us on the app. Now we do need to get caught up on local and national news stories and get some commercials in, but please stay tuned. Next hour, we're going to be talking to Krista Warfield from the Child and Family Center about the tragedy and danger of domestic violence during these times. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers with your host, Matt Watson, on your hometown station, KHTS.
Accidents happen, but rest assured Patterson's Collision Center is here to help. Patterson's is a family-owned and operated collision repair facility providing the Santa Clarita Valley with premium collision repairs. Patterson's prides itself on being the only California-certified green repair shop in all of Santa Clarita. They are insurance claim specialists and even offer payment plans for your deductible. For personalized, friendly service, visit pattersonscollisioncenter.com or call 294-1011 and let Patterson's Collision Center help ease your worries today.
A social distancing tip.
Keeping your distance from others is important in slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are some fun things to do alone. Read a book, take a walk, unpack your suitcase from that trip you took last September, paint a self-portrait, catch up on a TV series, do a puzzle. Remember, we should all stay home to lower the risk for everyone. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley.
The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
Great healthcare just got easier and more convenient in Canyon Country. Facey Canyon Country is now open directly off the Soledad Canyon exit off the 14 freeway. The 37,000 square foot clinic houses Facey Medical Group primary care physicians, pediatricians, and specialists. Facey has easy 24/7 online appointment scheduling for PCPs and PEDS. For more information or to make an appointment, visit facey.com. That's FACEY.com.
KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 10 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Special report coronavirus update.
I am announcing the suspension of my campaign.
Coronavirus has cloistered political candidates, and today Bernie Sanders is bowing out of the race for the Democratic presidential nomination.
So while we are winning the ideological battle, and while we are winning the support of so many young people and working people throughout the country, I have concluded that this battle for the Democratic nomination will not be successful.
More from correspondent Linda Kenyon.
I wish I could give you better news, but I think you know the truth.
Senator Bernie Sanders making his announcement from his home in Vermont.
The path toward victory is virtually impossible.
Therefore,
I am announcing the suspension of my campaign.
Sanders thanked his many supporters and said he will work with former Vice President Joe Biden, now the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee.
Biden praises Sanders for leading a new movement. Sanders says his departure was both difficult and painful. I'm Mike Moss. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says 779 people died from the virus in his state in the last day. That's the most to die in any one-day period. But Cuomo says new cases are down, and he credits mitigation.
It is flattening the curve, and we see that again today.
More from correspondent Athena Jones.
New York and New Jersey now account for more than half of all coronavirus-related deaths in the U.S. But New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says the curve could be flattening here, with the number of people being hospitalized and the number of people needing breathing tubes dropping.
New York Mayor Bill de Blasio says the virus is suspected behind a surge of in-home deaths, which are not being included yet in the pandemic death count. Officially, 400,000 Americans are infected with the virus. 13,000 have been killed by it. On Wall Street, the Dow up 2% in trading today. I'm Mike Moss.
This is Joanne Jenkins, CEO of AARP. The coronavirus continues to affect us all, and we are here actively supporting you and your community. Every day, we're providing trusted information from top health experts, sharing tools to help protect families from fraud, and creating resources to support family caregivers everywhere. As always, you can count on AARP to advocate for you and your family. Join us and stay connected at aarp.org/coronavirus.
This is a commercial announcement. To get the latest news on the coronavirus, watch Newsmax TV and make sure you vote in Newsmax's national poll asking Americans if they support President Trump's handling of the crisis. You can vote in Newsmax's national poll and show your support for President Trump. On your phone, just text the word HAPPY to 39747. That's HAPPY to 39747. 39747. Let Congress and the media know your opinion and tune into Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
Hi, this is Pastor Rusty from Real Life Church with a minute of encouragement.
Remember that game we used to play on the playground where we'd hit the ball around the pole? We called it tether ball. Everything worked great until somebody hit the ball so hard it just unhinged from the rope. Doesn't it feel like our culture and even our world is in that right now? With coronavirus making us wonder about our economy, our work, even our personal freedom, it just feels like we have nothing to put our faith in anymore. That's why I love the words of Jesus, who says, "Whoever puts their trust in me is like a man who builds his house on the rock. When the storms come, the winds will not destroy him." Friends, if you're wondering right now how we're going to do this, we're going to do this the way that we do anything, and that is we're going to get through this together. Put your hope in the rock.
If you would like prayer, text the word prayer to 661-270-7788.
Daily Imprints is the premier one-stop shop for custom embroidery, screen printing, and promotional products in the Santa Clarita Valley. Owners Joe and Dana have provided KHTS with quality embroidered company shirts for over 3 years. If it's new business cards or promotional products you need to enhance your image, Daily Imprints is the choice for you. Located on Lyons Avenue, stop by or call today, 661-678-0508.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so we should all stay home to lower the risk for everyone. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
City Councilman Bob Keller here. Keep it tuned to 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS, hometownstation.com, for the latest information regarding COVID-19. KHTS will have both national and local news and information during this unprecedented time. For more, go to the KHTS website or the KHTS Facebook page. KHTS is also available online in the free app for iPhone and Android. Continue to social distance, only going out if it's absolutely necessary, and continue to check on friends and family. With your help, we will flatten the curve and come through this stronger than ever.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. We are also on Facebook Live, so check us out at KHTS Radio on Facebook. This is Matt Watson, your host. You're listening to Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. We're glad you're with us this morning. How are you doing? We're here to support you, and as I mentioned every day in my introduction, help you get the resources that you need. We're here to help guide you through this time, and my next guest can be a huge part of that. Krista Warfield is joining us. She's the program director of domestic violence services for the Child and Family Center. She oversees those services here in Santa Clarita and also in their new office in Palmdale. She also oversees the domestic violence shelter. Previous to working with the Domestic Violence Center, get a little tongue-tied there, she was a court advocate assisting the Department of Child and Family Services. She began working with the Domestic Violence Center in 2014 with Linda Davies and eventually began taking on more and more responsibilities. For a while, she was working 2 jobs there and then began full-time with the Domestic Violence Center prior to the merger with the Child and Family Center in 2018. Good morning, Krista. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Before we get into the rest of our questions, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and maybe why you chose this line of work?
I chose this line of work because I have always had a passion for domestic violence. I'm a survivor myself. I was in my first domestic violence relationship at 14 years old, was in a medically induced coma at 17, and then basically the cycle just continued from there. It was something that I grew up seeing. I never knew that it wasn't normal, that it wasn't acceptable, that it was an actual thing until until I went to classes and I started getting the education. And then from that point, I just really felt like everybody really needs this education. They need the awareness because it's so common in households that, when you grow up in that cycle, you don't necessarily know what a healthy relationship looks like.
Yeah, that is something that I've talked about before. As a kid growing up, you're absolutely right. Our own experience, we think, is no matter what it is, we think it's normal and everybody is that way. I've mentioned to a lot of my families working at the school that my parents were divorced early on, and I always thought it was weird, the friends that I had whose parents were still married, because, your normal is you tend to project that onto other people. So it's very important, and thank you so much for the work that you do. So important for our families to get the information that they need and make sure that they stay safe. So can you tell us about your work and the programs that you oversee at the Child and Family Center? What are things typically like? So here, let's do this. What do you do for a living?
So I oversee both of our outreach centers for Child and Family Centers Domestic Violence Services. So I oversee Santa Clarita and Palmdale Outreach Center, and then also the shelter with my amazing program manager, Chantel Smith. And so basically our 24-hour crisis shelter is an emergency shelter for victims of domestic violence that are fleeing. So when when they're fearing for their life, we have a 24-hour crisis hotline. They call that hotline, and then we assess basically where danger zones are, and then we provide a crisis shelter, which we will bring them in for safety. We can't really disclose the location where the shelter is, but we bring them in for safety. We work on restraining orders, trying to get them into more a more stable situation, because our crisis shelter is only 30 days. In that time, they get counseling. We coordinate therapy for the kids. We try to get as many services linked while they're there. So they have group every day, parenting group, domestic violence education, learning, parenting skills with their kids. And we work with them closely. At the outreach center is more of some people are fleeing. Some people are still in their relationships. People are in different, different phases of their domestic violence. Some people have only have had it in the past. They don't have it now, but they see that it's affecting their current relationships, and so they come to get education. And we basically provide the same services, but instead of on a daily basis, we do that on a weekly basis. So we have parenting education, domestic violence counseling. We have crisis intervention. So anybody can just walk in for services, and they can talk to somebody. They don't have to become a client. We can assess safety plan with them. We also go out into the community, so we're at hospitals and clinics. So when people come into the hospital and they're in need of services, the social workers at the hospital will contact us, community partners, things like that. We do offer domestic violence education, which I mentioned earlier, I think is key to breaking the cycle. So it teaches, what is domestic violence? What are characteristics of a batterer? Why do people stay in these relationships? The effects of domestic violence on children, things like that. We also assist with restraining orders, support clients in going to court, and my staff is probably listening with a whole bunch of other stuff I could say, but I hope that I'm covering everything. And our classes and services are DCFS court approved.
Okay.
So they do satisfy the court orders of DCFS for people to get their children back if they've been removed for domestic violence. And that's pretty much what we do. We do that in both Santa Clarita and Antelope Valley. Antelope Valley office is very new, so we're only up there a couple days a week.
Okay.
I think it's really important for people to know right now, too, during this time. A lot of times with domestic violence services, due to confidentiality and just really strictly trying to focus on, just on safety and making sure that that people who are receiving services are safe, we don't normally do a lot of electronic services, but in this current pandemic, we are still providing all of our services, and we are doing that through telehealth or phone. So we really want people to know that so that they're continuing to reach out for help as well.
That is so important, and that was one of the questions I wanted to get to is if there's anybody whose business is essential, it's got to be yours right now. You mentioned, all the different programs that you all have developed at your offices. It's been said in medicine that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And along those lines, I know that one of the programs that the Child and Family Center offers is for schools, a workshop on healthy relationships. Can you tell us a little bit more about that program?
Yes, and see, I knew that somebody would be screaming out to me something that I did, and this is a huge piece of what we do, actually, is the prevention piece. And so we are in about 21 schools throughout Santa Clarita, from high school to elementary. Just recently, we started going into elementary schools, so we do healthy relationship workshops. We don't just strictly come in talking about romantic relationships or, coming in full force. We come in talking about bullying. People who are bullying at a young age are likely to become batterers in the future. It's really good to engage in these conversations early in life. It's so funny because, like I said, I was in my first domestic violence relationship at 14. And when I first started with the Domestic Violence Center, I always try to have my kids involved too. And my daughter had said, schools don't really teach us about healthy relationships, and so I was so impressed to be part of, this bigger picture. But we have reached in 2019, the 2019-2020 year, over 3,000 kids. We're in over 21 schools throughout Santa Clarita Valley. We engage in, practicing consent in friendships and all dynamics of relationships, and then we go into bullying and then talking about, battering behaviors and the likelihood of people continuing those behaviors as they get older. So it's really good to engage in those conversations early in life, and a lot of people think these kids, they're too young for this. But in all reality, statistics show that 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence every year.
Wow.
And about 90% of those kids are eyewitnesses to the violence. And kids are in relationships at very young ages.
Absolutely, whether it's with parents or other family members or just friendships. And it's so important that they learn how to interact with others. We see it, we work with schools all over the Santa Clarita and Antelope Valleys, and we see it with our youngest ones, kids exerting power and how to get what they want and things like that. Those, just developing healthy relationships is so important, and that data really it does shock me. So it must be different, though, and we talked off the air a little bit. The first thing that came to my mind when we said, okay, everybody's going to go home, everyone's going to be safer at home. Of course, I'm a teacher, and so I first thought about, okay, how are we going to do school this way? And so grateful for the leadership at iLEAD Schools that we had a system in place. And then, okay, how am I going to work at home? And the next thing that popped into my mind is, wait a minute, not everybody is safer at home. What about the folks that are experiencing domestic violence? How are they going to be safe this time? So in what ways are you and your team able to support those folks that aren't safer at home, that are dealing with this? What services are you providing, especially during this time?
So right now, for the people who aren't necessarily as safe at home, we do a lot of phone services. So they call in or and we try to get a strict schedule of calling out, because we are leaning more towards electronic services right now, which is very difficult. We do have telehealth options so that we're seeing, them like through video sessions, but the phone seems to work best for them. We also have a 24-hour hotline, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline, so they can call that hotline at any time if they need assistance, because sometimes it might mean waiting for the batter to go to sleep, or maybe they have to go to work and they only work at night, or things like that. We still have restraining order services available. So right now the courts, there's a lot of court rules. The courts are shut down. However, for protective orders, they're putting a lot of new rules in place. So the courts are still open for restraining orders. We can assist doing that over the phone. We're basically, this is one of the services also that we do that I didn't go too much in detail, but we are basically a domestic abuse self-help center. We collaborate with Neighborhood Legal Services. So we assist with preparing the restraining orders for the clients. And currently right now, because of this pandemic, we can do that over the phone, and then the client can electronically file the restraining order. So that's been really helpful, because we can get move-out orders on those. And then just really safety planning and being there to provide counsel to them in time. So just safety planning on what they can do in the home during an incident to be safer. Okay. Because they can't necessarily be safe at this time.
But to keep themselves safer. That's so important. I was going to ask a little bit later on, but let's not wait. You mentioned that 24-hour hotline that you have. So how can our listeners get in touch with you, whether it's because they're having an emergent problem, they need assistance right now, or they just want to talk to a counselor and talk about improving their situation? How can they get a hold of you?
They can call the 24-hour hotline. So if it's a crisis, they can call 661-259-HELP. That's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline number.
And that's HELP, H-E-L-P?
Yep, okay. HELP. And for anybody who who prefers, because some people remember numbers better, which is not me, but is 4357. So 661-259-4357. We also have our main line that's open. So if they're just trying to get a hold of somebody during normal business hours, they can call the 661-259-8175. That's our direct DV line. But that 24-hour crisis hotline, they can call that at any time during business hours, in the middle of the night, 7 days a week. And then if it is during business hours, then they'll be transferred. An advocate's available to provide advocate counsel for them, and then they can transfer them to the appropriate people if they need.
Terrific. And I'm sure that our listeners that are listening, maybe they're not dealing with this issue themselves, but they're thinking about a loved one, a friend, a neighbor who they're seeing some red flags. They may be the victim of some domestic violence. How can they offer to help? How can they get help for a loved one?
Yeah. And considering that we have this Safer at Home order, and on average nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States, there's definitely going to be some family members out there that are very concerned for people who might be at home with their batterer. So if I cannot stress this enough, it's really important to just have a safety plan. And what I mean by safety plan is really, and it's hard to go into detail because you never know who's listening, right? And you want to continue to provide resources and keep people safe. But, really keeping in communication with those family members every day, calling and checking on them so that it's on a regular basis. So if something happens and you're calling and an incident's happening, the batterer knows that if this family member doesn't answer, it will be out of the norm and somebody will be concerned. Also creating a safety plan where you have a code word. It's just a code word that they can send that lets you know that they need you to send 911 to the house. I think that that's super important. It's been the most helpful information that we've been able to provide people that we see that our clients use the most. People set up safety plans and they have code words, but the most important thing is for your family to understand what that code word means. And you can use different code words for different things.
So can you give some examples of what different types of things might be needed? Like if I'm having an emergency right now and I need you to call 911, I might say one thing, but then maybe I just can't talk right now or something like that.
Maybe things are escalating, or I don't want you to call 911, but I just want somebody to show up.
Okay.
And so then I would have a different word.
Okay, so I don't need to call 911, but I need someone to be here because we're about to get to that point. Can you drop by and ask to borrow a couple of eggs or whatever, that kind of thing?
Yes,
okay.
And usually there's a pretty active family member that knows what's happening that can call and de-escalate a situation too.
Okay.
So even knowing like this word just means I just need you to call.
Okay.
So that I can be on the phone with you. FaceTime is a big thing now, too, and different phones have different access to video, but even trying to video somebody through Facebook or FaceTime if you're not getting a hold of them.
Yeah.
Just so that you can see that they're okay.
Okay.
In case incidents have happened, previously and stuff like that. And then just really understanding what the family member wants you to do. Because you don't want to go into a panic. What happens is if you are trying to do things that the survivor is not ready to do, they will shut down and they will start blocking you out. So it's just important to create the safety plan on really what the person involved in the relationship is ready to do.
Sure, and a lot of us, we do love our friends and our family, and we want to be aggressive about getting that help, but you're right, if they shut us out, that then creates even a more dangerous situation for them. So we want to make sure that those communication lines stay open. Okay.
Right. And then also knowing if you don't hear anything and you're trying to get a hold of your loved one, that you always have the option to call 911 and have them do a welfare check, especially if there's a history of domestic violence in the home. Law enforcement is still going out to homes.
That's good to know. So, if that family member stops answering, we can call the police and ask them to stop by the house and make sure everything's okay. Now, we do have a lot of parents that are listening to the show, and they may not be experiencing domestic violence currently, but they care about their children and their future relationships. How can parents talk to their kids about domestic violence today to hopefully prevent them from becoming victims or, God forbid, perpetrators in the future?
That's a great question. I think education is super important. The fact that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner, like physical violence, it's very hard to say that there's many people within a family dynamic, and I don't just mean in the household, but in an entire family, that nobody is experiencing domestic violence.
Wow.
I think it's important to really engage in the conversation. Just start with friendships. I have 4 girls, and I talk to them about their friendships all the time. We discussed a little bit earlier that, people who bully are likely to become batters or are experiencing battering in their own home. Bullying and battering are learned behaviors. So just helping them understand that these are signs. I come home and I provide education that we give at the agency to my children all the time. Just helping, I think, having relationship conversations with your kids gives them the comfort of being able to come to you, and then it gives you a format to really talk about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, because otherwise we're learning from TV, even if we're witnessing it in the home. Like for me growing up, I seen it on TV, like I wanted this fairy tale love, and what a lot of people don't know is initially in domestic violence relationships, it starts off as that. It is this fairy tale love. It is this person that is going to open doors for you and do all of these things, and then gradually things just start getting controlling. And just understanding that, how that dynamic works and starting those conversations. And then also for kids to understand that it doesn't always start, we're in abusive relationships far before we're in romantic relationships. They usually start in other relationships that we've witnessed in a family dynamic or in friendships.
Okay.
I've been bullied when I was in school, and so now my self-esteem is lower. I think self-esteem is super important to talk about with kids. Really loving themselves, understanding that they have a right to say no, understanding that they have a right to stand up for themselves, or that they, can value to be treated well and not controlled.
Yeah.
And also understanding that even if they're in relationships, that they can still have friendships with other people.
Yeah, definitely. Keeping that well-balanced approach, constantly communicating with our kids. It is so important. Besides supporting victims of domestic violence, what other programs does the Child and Family Center offer to the community during these times? Can you share anything about the services that the Child and Family Center is offering?
Yes, I can. We provide a lot of services. So, which is part of what brought us to the merger, because, we were a domestic violence agency, and they provided mental health. They provided, a lot of intensive services. So we provide at Child and Family Center, we have, of course, our domestic violence services. We have crisis intervention services. We have mental health for children and families. We also have a substance abuse program, super important for people to know. So when somebody comes in to get services at the agency, they really get a full scope of services.
That's terrific. And again, if we need help for any of these different reasons, is that the same number, the 259-8175?
Yes. And then we also have a substance abuse line. So if somebody is looking directly for those services, that number is 661-481-2801.
2801. So we've got 3 numbers for you. The main line for the Child and Family Center is 661-259-8175. For substance abuse, please call 661-481-2801. And for that 24-hour domestic violence helpline, it's 259-HELP, 661-259-4357. Krista, such a valuable service today more than ever. Was there one more thing that you wanted to share before we go?
Yes, I did. I actually just wanted to make one correction. So our main line for all of our for Child and Family Centers, the agency as a whole, is 661-259-9439.
Okay.
The 8175, the other numbers that I gave you are directly for DV and substance abuse.
Gotcha. So the 259-8175 is for domestic violence. 481-2801 is substance abuse. Main line is 259-9439. I'm going to post all of these on our Facebook Live feed so that our families can just go straight to Facebook and get those lines for you. Krista, again, such a valuable service today more than ever. So thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate everything that you do for our loved ones and our community. Bless you and your colleagues. We've got to get to some commercials, but please stick around. When we come back, I'll share an idea on, we've already shared ideas on how to celebrate holidays, but we'll be getting into habit number 6 on our 7 habits for highly effective people. We'll also be talking to Christina DeBray, our licensed marriage and family therapist. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
This Saturday at 8 p.m., join us as we pray for our Valley and first responders. KHTS has teamed up with a number of local churches who'll be offering a half hour of music and prayer. Brought to you by our friends at Burger King, Total Financial Solutions, and American Family Funding. We invite you to sit in your cars, 8 p.m. this Saturday. Tune in to 98.1 FM, AM 1220, or download our free KHTS radio app. Or log on to hometownstation.com and click the Listen Live button.
And now a cooking tip from Keith Mowry from Bob's Country Meats. Everyone loves chicken. It's easy to cook in a variety of ways, especially on the barbecue.
Marinate it overnight in your favorite marinade. Brown it up nice on the barbecue, and then put it on the other side in direct heat. Close your lid. Take another 25-30 minutes, and they're good.
Chicken, tri-tip, pork chops, turkey, steaks, even exotic game like buffalo and ostrich. For the tastiest chicken in town, visit Bob's Country Meats on Soledad in Canyon Country.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Do you wear contact lenses? You're going to want to hear this. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. The primary way the coronavirus is spread is through droplets, coughs, sneezes, even talking or breathing. These droplets enter your body when you touch your face, specifically your mouth, your nose, or your eyes. Now, an interesting new warning from the American Academy of Ophthalmology, which says that contact lens wearers not only touch their eyes to put in and remove their lenses, they also touch their eyes and face much more than people who don't wear contacts. Wearing glasses may also provide a tiny bit more protection from any coronavirus particles that are floating in the air. So the organization says this, but they also say that it's more likely you're going to be infected via your mouth and your nose. As we continue to learn more about this novel virus, every bit of protection helps. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. Santa Clarita Grocery serves fresh groceries to families, individuals, and those experiencing homelessness. At Santa Clarita Grocery, out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the needs being addressed. As an all-volunteer-led organization, we operate on a 1% overhead, receiving no government funding for our operations in the community, resulting in us being one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're looking to support the good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery. What is donated is specifically kept in the Santa Clarita Valley, helping over 3,000 families, including 5 other community charities. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or visit us on social media or call us at 425-7575. That's 425-7575.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson. You're listening to Eye in the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. You know, we're looking at that Facebook Live post. There's so many resources on Facebook for you. Go to KHTS on Facebook, KHTS Radio, and click on the show banner, and you're going to find so many different resources from the different websites that Linda Christek, our elementary curriculum expert, mentioned this morning, to the different magazine articles that I referenced on virtual Easter egg hunts, and now we've got several different phone numbers for the Child and Family Center and the Domestic Violence hotline on there for you. So again, go to Facebook and click on KHTS Radio. Click on the show there. We've got a lot of resources for you streaming on the comments section there. Well, last week, we began our study of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a transformational book published about 30 years ago and has sold about 1 million copies per year, a little over 30 million copies already sold. Covey studied before he published his book, history's most successful people, and identified the habits, 7, and then later he added an 8th. Habits that these successful people all have in common. So we really should be studying them. We all want to be more successful. We want our kids to be more successful. So let's talk about how we can do that. We are on habit 7 today. So let's sum up habits 1 through 6 before we get into habit 7. Again, habit 1 was be proactive, and so important. You are in charge of you. So in being proactive, plan your time, take responsibility, take initiative. Our key understanding there was, again, you are in charge of you. Don't be a victim or make excuses. Take control of the things that you can, and do not overstress about the things that you can't. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Figure out what you want out of the week, the month, the year, or the lifetime, and then develop a vision. Envision what success looks like for that period of time, and then chart your path. Where are you now? Where do you want to be by the end of that time, and chart that path of how you get there. Begin with the end in mind. Habit 3, put first things first. Prioritize your tasks. I know it's so tempting to procrastinate, especially now that so many of us are working from our couch or our home office. It can be so easy to click over to some of those less important or pressing tasks, but let's keep in mind, and you may want to Google it, Eisenhower's matrix of importance versus urgency, and let's try to live in quadrant number 3. Google Eisenhower's matrix of importance versus urgency, and you'll see what I mean. Get yourself in quadrant 3. Those 3 habits all talk about building independence. Okay, habits 1, 2, and 3 mean I'm working on myself. I'm making me a better me. These next 3 habits that we discussed earlier this week are all about building interdependence, how we can work better with others to improve what we do. Habit number 4 is think win-win. This is the creative, thoughtful process of working to find solutions that benefit both sides of a situation. It's different from a compromise. Think win-win is where we both truly get everything that we need. Habit 5 is seeking first to understand and then to be understood. Sounds so simple, but can be so difficult for some of us, especially if you're someone like me who loves the sound of his own voice so much. But we must listen not with the intent to reply. So oftentimes I listen to people thinking about, okay, how am I going to respond to this? This reminds me about something about me. But remember, let's make it about the person that's talking. Instead, let's listen with the intent to truly understand and empathize. And then we can share later. We're not going to forget what we wanted to talk about. Habit number 6 that we're getting into today is synergize. I don't know why, but I cannot say that word without an exclamation point. Synergize. Synergize is the idea that 1 + 1 = 3. And for my mathematics friends out there, that doesn't seem to make sense. But trust me, it truly it can be that way. And in fact, sometimes 1 + 1 can equal 3 or 10 or 100 or 1,000. That's the concept of synergize. See, we each bring our own contributions to the table. What I bring to the table is 1. Right? That's my thoughts, my ideas. But when we get together with someone else, they bring their own 1. That's 1 + 1. We start to collaborate, and our ideas build on each other. I might hear what you have to say, and that triggers a completely new and different thought in my mind, and things can start to ping pong, and they start to grow exponentially. Okay, so that's how 1 + 1 can equal 3. Or maybe we go completely away from my ideas and your ideas, and we get to something totally new. So I want you to think about adopting that guiding principle in a group. The contributions of many will far exceed those of any one individual. So the sum of the whole is worth more than the sum of the parts, right? So this will help you achieve your goals, and some of the goals that you could never have achieved on your own. And I know now that we're all working separately, it can really diffuse this idea of synergy, but it doesn't have to. Again, reach out, talk with your colleagues, connect with them. Yes, it has that benefit of helping us stay connected socially, but it also helps build this notion of synergy. Okay? Remember, we've got to employ some of these other habits in habit number 6, synergize. Because if we're not beginning with the end in mind, then it just fizzles and goes nowhere. Now we've just got a bunch of talking heads, right? Also, we need to think win-win, right? Where everybody's getting what they need, but especially, let's go back to yesterday's habit, seek first to understand, then to be understood, right? So when we all come together and everybody's ready to share their ideas, why don't you be the last one to talk? Why don't you be the first one to listen? And that way we can really develop a sense of synergy. Remember, when you do that, you're building that empathy, you're depositing into folks' emotional bank account, and they're much more willing to listen to you once it's your turn to talk if you've given way to them first, okay? So if you're fighting to get your ideas out there and not listening actively, you may as well not be collaborating. Listen. Remember, it may just make your idea that much better, so that when you're ready to present, you filter in the ideas of everybody else, and now, boy, you use some of their concepts, and it makes you really sound like a genius. The ineffective way of communicating is either it's your way or my way, or we compromise. That's not what we want to do with synergy, though. The effective synergistic, and yes, that's a word I just made up, the effective synergy way to communicate is that together we can create a better way, a higher way. And here's some reminders to teach your kids, okay? This 4-step checklist. Help others, be humble, work well in teams, and value others' ideas and strengths. Help others, be humble, work well in teams, value others' ideas and strengths. Remember, good is the enemy of great. We don't want to be good enough. We want to be amazing. We want to be those highly successful people. And the easiest way to make things great is to get others involved. Synergize. We do need to take a quick commercial break, but please stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be with our show's official licensed marriage and family therapist, Christina DeBray. And for more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, go to hometownstation.com and click on that red banner. There you're going to find all different kinds of tips about the economy, health updates, special business hours. Click on hometownstation.com. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
At iLEAD Agua Dulce, we believe the most important thing a child can learn in school is who they are. Life's real tests are never standardized, which is why we've developed an individual-based curriculum that values exploration, cooperation, and creativity. As our learners grow, so do we. Our tuition-free charter school is currently enrolling grades TK through 7th and adding 8th grade in 2020. Your young learner will be immersed in a unique environment where possibility and self-discovery are at the core of every experience. The Agua Dulce campus features beautiful indoor and outdoor spaces for hands-on inspiration, including a robotics lab, a garden bed, a greenhouse, and a technology-based exploratorium. iLEAD Agua Dulce is conveniently located on the east side of the Santa Clarita Valley, just off the 14 freeway. Check out our homeschool options too. To schedule a campus tour or learn more about our programs, visit iLEADAguadulce.org. We're enrolling now. iLEAD Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Staying healthy right now may be harder than it's been in a generation. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Today, chances are, like a lot of people, you're probably staying home to decrease your chances of getting infected with the coronavirus. But even staying home presents some unique health challenges. It's still important to find time to exercise. It lowers your risk of chronic diseases that could weaken your immune system, making you more likely to get sicker if you do get sick. I also want you to pay close attention to managing your stress. These are stressful times right now, to be sure, but if you don't get your stress in check, then you could also make yourself more susceptible to illness that way. Me, I always set aside at least 5 minutes every day to meditate by myself in a quiet space. I wish I had more time, but it really does work, and there are plenty of apps out there to help you get started. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
At the Burrito Factory, their motto has always been to serve quality food with fast, friendly service. But did I mention the taste? When it comes to authentic taste and huge mouth-watering burritos, the Burrito Factory is second to none. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or a catered event, Burrito Factory has the taste of Mexico to satisfy your craving. Burrito Factory on Soledad Canyon Road next to Chi-Chi's Pizza in Canyon Country. Stop in or call ahead, 288-0222.
City Councilman Bob Keller here. Keep it tuned to 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS, hometownstation.com, for the latest information regarding COVID-19. KHTS will have both national and local news and information during this unprecedented time. For more, go to the KHTS website or the KHTS Facebook page. KHTS is also available online in the free app for iPhone and Android. Continue to social distance, only going out if it's absolutely necessary, and continue to check on friends and family. With your help, we will flatten the curve and come through this stronger than ever. Thank you.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We're joined now by Christina Debray, a licensed marriage and family therapist with a remarkable story of resilience and determination. She is a trauma and resilience specialist, which is something that is so important, especially during this time. She's an incredible resource. And Christina's a graduate of Cal State Northridge as well as Pepperdine University, who practices right here in Valencia. She has studied extensively areas including trauma, phobias, performance enhancement, attachment disorders, suicide prevention, grief, a lot of those really, really important things that we need to make sure that we have access to. She's got more than 18 years of speaking experience working with medical professionals, patients, schools, parents, and business professionals. Good morning, Christina. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. It's good to have you in. So we've talked in the past about holding space for grief, and you reminded us that it's important that we recognize our negative feelings, but not to wallow in them, right? We give it time, and then we do need to step out and step in. So once we've held space for our grief, how do we as adults, because this week we're focusing on us as adults, once we've held space for grief and how difficult this time is, how do we then start the process of moving on?
Okay. So moving on is really about resilience and growth.
Right.
And there are many ways to do that. And so today what I'm going to focus on is why it's important and give an example of a way that we can do that through reframing.
Okay.
So the reason that it's important to practice reframing is because we want to tap into what's called adaptive memory networks. Okay, so essentially there are two types of three types of memory networks. There's unprocessed memories, and then they either go to adaptive memory networks or maladaptive memory networks. So a better way to think about that is helpful versus not helpful.
Okay.
So if you're being chased by a bear, okay, heaven forbid this should ever happen to anyone, okay, but if you're being chased by a bear and maybe you have a handicap and you can't run, okay, or maybe you know you can't run fast enough, okay, maybe you decide to play dead. And so maybe you think, hey, maybe the bear doesn't want to really eat me. Maybe the bear's just feeling threatened by me because I got too close to its baby.
Okay.
So you decide to play dead, and you lay on the middle of the road, and that bear goes up, sniffs you, realizes you're not a threat, thinks you're dead, and then moves on.
Okay.
So you might stay there for 5 minutes just to make sure the bear doesn't come back. And that would be adaptive. But what happens when days go by and you're still lying there on the floor and maybe 6 months go by, okay?
Sure.
At some point, it's not adaptive anymore. So that's when we can develop trauma-related disorders like PTSD, where we're essentially reliving the same moment over and over again on a spectrum. Okay. So sometimes a full flashback and sometimes just ruminating about things in the past. So one of the ways that we can help to get past this, and this is not always helpful, but it is sometimes helpful, is to reframe. So why do we reframe? Because it takes that, we've talked before about that information processing system, which is where all the information, the cars on the freeway come on, and then they get processed, and then they go to their destination, right? They go to wherever they need to go on the freeway, they get off the off-ramp, and they go live where they're going to live. So when we talk about holding space, we're talking about allowing them to process and go where they need to go. Once we've done that, what we want to do is start tapping into helpful memory networks in order to be more resilient and make the best out of life circumstances, especially during times of crisis. So when information is coming in, right, we can decide to go to a maladaptive place, right, so laying on the road for days at a time, right, which might feel safe but not actually be safe for long periods of time.
Okay.
Or we can tap into helpful adaptive memory networks. So one of the ways to do that is through reframing. So for example, it highlights the opportunity in things. Instead of I am not in control, I am learning to control what I can. Instead of I am lazy, I am resting. Instead of, hey, I'm missing such and such opportunity, you know, I'm missing Disneyland, I'm missing friends, I'm missing this. Hey, I am no longer missing spending time with myself and reflecting. I'm finally getting the me time that I never prioritized before.
Sure.
And so it does take time to adjust. Some people are going to be more able to do this because they've practiced this before. Just like when you go to a gym and you're practicing, or just not just a gym, but just exercise in general, if you're stretching those muscles, they're going to be bigger and more capable. So if you already live your life in this way, it's going to be easier for you. But for some of us, we turn to the outside world for so much distraction, and while that can be temporarily helpful, it can backfire because we rely on these external things to create an internal state of mind. And so this is a way that you can create an internal state of mind from within yourself. And this is why we talked before about being a positive news junkie, right? Yeah. So talking about, hey, right now there's not a lot of cars in the freeway. We're perhaps making the world cleaner right now, giving the world a rest. We are being able to spend time with our families, even if we want to choke them half the time. we are learning to tolerate our families. We are learning to spend time with our families. We are learning to be mindful. We are learning to be present. We are learning something new that we didn't have time for. I think of, in my life, when I'm busy in my practice and running everywhere all the time, I don't always have time to cook at home or sit and decompress like I want to. And now I have all this extra time in the day that I don't have to deal with running errands or driving to work and coming home. And we're maintaining my office right now because I'm working from home. So all of that time, that's opportunity cost that I could have been doing something else with, and now I have that time, and that is a gift.
Absolutely. What a great idea. And to reframe away from the bear analogy and into the one that we're currently in, that temptation of, okay, there's this coronavirus out there and it's getting so many people sick. We can wrap ourselves up and end up in PTSD with that, where once the safer at home restrictions are lifted, we can still be scared to go outside because of all the things that can hurt us or get us sick. Instead, we take this time, reframe it, and think about, okay, we've been given this gift of time, and what new habits can I build, and how can I make myself healthier, stronger, smarter, more understanding, just reframing things. Christina, as always, terrific ideas, great advice. Thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for all you do to help keep us healthy and strong. That is all the time that we have for today, but thank you all so much for joining us. I want to thank our guests, Linda Christek, elementary curriculum expert from SCVi and iLEAD schools, Krista Warfield, program director from the Domestic Violence Services at the Child and Family Center, and our show's licensed marriage and family therapist, Christina DeBray. Join us again tomorrow and every day at 9 a.m. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm your host, Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS.